Welcome back to Spotlight. I want to welcome my special guest, Brother Lorie Rymer. Brother Rymer, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, you're no stranger to us. I don't know if you need to be introduced. You've been providing delectable delights for us, for the people of the Virgin Islands, in with last catering service in the admin complex and the Kwatiski building.
That is right, and I thank you for saying that.
Yes, and the food there is great. How long you been in the restaurant business?
Well, since 1964, actually. I was privileged.
Almost as old as me.
Yeah, well, I was privileged. I was privileged in 1964 to work at Lixby as an apprentice. I started in the kitchen, and I have been in the hospitality industry ever since.
That's a good record. Why politics at this time?
Well, I didn't really have it in mind, but I was asked by a number of persons on Virgin Gorda in the 9th district to step forward because they said that they were rather dissatisfied with the level of representation that they were receiving. And there were so many outstanding matters. Of course, they had heard how I had been talking about various things, and so they figured that if I knew that much and if I had done that much research on the various problems, that I should step forward for them. When I considered the matter, I decided that I would perhaps run as a territorial at-large candidate, but then they told me, no, you can't do that. We want you to step forward for us, to represent us in the district. And so I've done that.
And you are originally from Virgin Gorda? You were born in Virgin Gorda? Or?
That is right. I was born in Virgin Gorda in 1948. Our family can trace its ancestry back a few hundred years in Virgin Gorda. And I'm proud of Virgin Gorda, although I have lived in East End Longlook now for a good many years. A good many years.
And you're running as an independent candidate?
I am running as an independent candidate, but I am, of course, prepared to sit with whomever the people of the Virgin Islands elect as their government and as their opposition. I am ready now, tonight, right now, to sit with the NDP, should they be elected to office. I am also prepared to work with the Virgin Islands Party, of which I was a member for more than 36 years. If that is the government and if the people so elect them.
So if you're elected, you will not be in the opposition. You are definitely going to sit on the government side, regardless of who the government is. That's what I understood from that statement.
Yes, well, I hope that that's how it'll turn out, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know, as you said, you've been a member of the Virgin Islands Party for over, what, 30 years?
36 years.
36 years.
Yes, sir.
And you've represented the Virgin Islands Party government on various committees
Yes.
and endeavors,
Yes.
and so on. And the natural assumption that you would remain there, was there falling out? Why have you decided to be an independent candidate and leave the party?
That's a very good question, very insightful. In 2007, at the congressory that was held, members of the Congress, 60 members of the Congress, decided that they no longer would support Mr. O'Neill and any candidacy that he would put up. And so he was told point blank that he could not run as a member of the Virgin Islands Party, according to the rules of the Virgin Islands Party. We made a number of motions on the floor, and the compromise was reached that, yes, let him run one more time, but shortly thereafter he should demit office in preference to his deputy. It's more than 4 years now, and We have had a number of disagreements concerning policy matters. That's very important to me. I think that's very important to the people of the Virgin Islands. And so instead of staying in the party and trying to get a position from within, I thought that I should move on and be on my own and continue to do my research and try to be of help and of a benefit to the people of the Virgin Islands outside of the party itself.
What were the policies that you differed with?
Well, there are a number of them. We have on Virgin Gorda, and we also have a number of problems as well in Anegada, but on Virgin Gorda, we have a number of situations where people are being prevented from going to their own beaches. We say that all the beaches are public and we have the law to back it up, but in reality, Virgin Guardians can go to no beach other than the one by the dock. All other beaches have been blocked. Access has been blocked and denied to people, contrary to the law. We brought these matters to Mr. O'Neill on a number of occasions, and it means nothing. He said he doesn't know anything about it, or he gives us a lot of excuses. And then, of course, there's the matter of lands on Virgin Gorda. Incidentally, Saturday night, I understand that he made a statement, Mr. O'Neill did, Honorable Mr. O'Neill, Premier, made a statement that after 36 years, it is now time to do certain things on Virgin Gorda. And he named a few, such as giving people of Virgin Gorda access to lands on which they could build a house, raise their family, and so on. And to take back some of the lands that were given to Rockefeller in the 1960s, prior to the construction of Little Dix Bay. There are lands on Virgin Gorda that have been given to Rockefeller for the development of Little Dix Bay, although they do not have any development on those lands. The lands were given to Rockefeller not to be developed. Not to be developed, I said. And so we have disagreement about that. We have a major disagreement about that. And then, of course, there's the matter of Nail Bay. Nail Bay is an area of land, now some 148 acres of land, that the research shows that those lands were actually stolen from us, in that the person who had the lawful leases in 1965, one Mr. Kramer, Albert Kramer, a chef at Little Dix Bay, he had two lawful leases, number 37 and 38. But there were certain conditions and stipulations in the leases, a few of which would be that Kramer, you cannot at all mortgage any part of this property. You're not allowed to subdivide it, sublet it, share it up, pledge it, and so on. And therefore, when he tried to raise the necessary capital to build the hotel that he wanted to build, he was unable to do so. So he gave up the leases, but yet, and he left the country, by the way. In 1967, two other persons followed him to Canada, Mr. Bob Gray, and there was another gentleman, Mr. Smith. I cannot bring his name right now, but these two gentlemen, when on their return, claimed that they had purchased the leases from Kramer, which is a big lie. And I put it to him when he was here a year and a half or so ago. I asked him about it directly. Did you try to sell leases to these two men? He said, no, it's a big lie. It's not, it didn't happen. Now, even if he had said that, yes, it did happen, I know it couldn't happen. It could not have happened. A lease must be assigned. And if you have a lease with the government, you're unable to fulfill its terms, then it must be turned back to the government, who will then decide to whom it would give it next. And so on. There are a number of other things.
And so what happened to that land, the 148 acres of land? You say it was stolen.
Yes. There are some people who claim now that they have purchased the master lease, as I said, from Kramer, the Regals and his sons and Mr. Ajit George and others. But from the research, we know that it's a fraud. It's a fraudulent situation, and I put the matter to the government on a number of occasions. In his last letter to me, the former governor said that he investigated the matter fully. He went through the information, checked the records in the ministry. He had them check the records. His office went through the archives. And his conclusion was that there is no connection at all, none, between the people who now claim to have the master lease and Kramer, the Regals and Kramer. No connection at all. That's his conclusion.
So it's false. It is a lie that they own the land. Oh, it is not true that they own the land.
It's not true at all, my brother. Not true at all. And in fact, they cannot show you one piece of paper.
So how are they allowed to go ahead and develop the land?
Because the representative agrees with them. We put the matter to him a number of occasions. And by the way, this is the area here, my brother. I don't know if the camera would pick it up, but that is the area there of Neil Bay.
I don't think we could.
No.
Let me see.
And
it's not bad.
And yeah, 148 acres, and they are they do what Kramer could not do. He could not sublet, underlet, pledge, sell, mortgage. They're doing all of that.
So why aren't you taking them out of the court?
Well, no, that's a very important question, my brother. The matter will go to court at some point, but we have to first conclude on all of the investigations. I'm sure the matter will end up in court before the judge for the judicial review. But the former excellency, the governor, said that the ministry should keep me abreast of any development concerning Neil Bay. I knew that wouldn't happen. I have never received one bit of information from them on it. And now, just recently, Mr. O'Neill gave them additional time to squat on our land. And of course, you know, we have no quarrel at all with the people of Neil Bay. The people who have been suckered into
the purchasing the land.
The purchasing
so their purchases are illegal as well.
Oh, it's illegal, absolutely. And in fact.
And those lands were sold to them by the Regals?
Yes, lands were sold to them, and they changed the name ever so often. They changed the name. I don't even know what the name is right now. Tonight, I couldn't tell you. I'll have to look it up. Okay. I know that they change the name very often.
So I'm sorry. So you have the land issue on Little Dix Bay, the Little Dix Bay land, and then the 148 acres of Neil Bay. Those are two land issues that are your major concerns in Virgin Gorda.
Yes.
What other issues are you running on in Virgin Gorda?
I'm running on the issue that the workers in the hospitality industry in particular are being cheated. They're being cheated out of their money. They're paid a very low wage, and the payroll of most of the companies on Virgin Gorda in the hospitality industry is running between 12 and 15%. It should be at least 20%. And they do that with the blessing of the government. But they are allowed then to dip into the gratuity, and they're allowed to take up to 7% of the gratuities which do not belong to them. If you in your shop, you run a business, you're a businessman, a good one, I believe. If I come into your store, in your shop, and I purchased $100 worth of goods, and I leave the $100 on the counter, and you are a busy person behind the counter, you didn't take up the $100. Another person comes behind me, he buys $50 worth of goods, but he pays you with the money that was on the counter, that I left, $100. And you give him back $50 change. You know you lost a lot of money.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. These companies dip their hands in the gratuity, take a big chunk and make up the salaries of these workers. They're taking advantage of them.
They're paying the workers
out of their own money.
Out of their tips.
Out of the gratuity, yes, out of the gratuity that is kept and is disbursed over a period of time.
And you know, the companies that are doing this?
Oh yeah, I know. The government knows as well.
These are names that you can mention freely?
I don't want to mention their names.
Okay.
But I could tell you that there are a number of them, and they all follow the leader. There's a leader and a leading hotel in Virgin Gorda, Little Dix Bay Hotel Corporation. And they're the leader because they were the first. They started operation in January 1964. I know because I was there. And they have set the standard. And the government give them carte blanche, let them do whatever they want to do, pay the workers whatever they want. And then, of course, in addition to that, my brother, there was an established account prior to the first sale of Little Dix Bay Hotel in 1968. An account with $3 million set up by Rockefeller, Rocks Resort. Today, those $3 million would total $19 million. 42 years at 4.5 interest, $3 million, $19 million. And we have no idea where those $19 million are, or where they have gone, who has them, in whose control they are now, who's responsible for it. And yet the government continues to deny any existence of it, of the account.
Well, I mean, I've heard about it, and I've heard that the company has as well denied an existence of any such account.
No.
How can you?
No, the company never denied it.
The company acknowledged the presence of the account?
No, neither have they denied it. You see,
you can't get a comment from them.
You have to look at language. And if one were to read the comment that Mr. O'Neill made a few days ago, one would understand clearly that he himself is not saying the account doesn't exist, you know. Mm-hmm. That's not what he's saying. What he said is that he checked with someone in the directorship of the company, and they themselves have no knowledge of it. That doesn't say it doesn't exist. There are people who have been, my understanding is this, my brother, there are people in Little Dix Bay who claim to have seen, they go through the books and they have seen the accounts. They know the transaction. Some of them have been paid bribes out of the same money. And in fact, $10,000, according to my understanding and knowledge of it, up to $10,000 were taken out of that same money to help fix the Brigado Flat school some years ago.
Wait, isn't there a legal framework under which that sort of, for lack of a better word, gratuity would be set up for the benefit of the employees? And there's some legal framework that can be investigated, can be researched?
Yes, well, I'm doing that now. I've written several letters. Some I have not had any response to at all. But the last letter that I wrote to Little Dix Bay and to the management, I said, could you please allow us to get information from the account and from your books as to whether in fact this $3 million account exists. You know what the manager said to me by letter? He said, well, basically you need to mind your own business. We have the human resource department, they have my office, and if they have a problem with any monies, they can contact me directly. That's what he said to me.
We're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break, and I thank you.
We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. We're going to come back with more of Mr. Lorie Rymer. We're going to be talking about some of the other issues that he's campaigning on in Virgin Gorda. We're going to get a chance to question him, and we're going to talk about how he's going to bring economic improvement into the Virgin Gorda to provide jobs and to keep the economy of the territory flowing, his plans and his methods. Right after these words from our sponsors. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Spotlight is brought to you by CCT Global Communication, Data Pro, Orion Law, Clarence Thomas Limited, Virgin Island Motors, and Bolo's Wholesale Cash and Carry.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Mr. Lorie Rymer. He's a candidate for one of the candidates for the 9th District Independent. We left off talking about the challenges or the issues that he's running on in Virgin Gorda on the land issue, the Nail Bay and Little Dix Bay, the labor issues. There's been an ongoing challenge in Virgin Gorda for a very long time. And especially, and you had one other comment to make on the Nail Bay issue before we get to some of the other issues, because we want to get in as much as we can and allow the public the audience to call and ask you some questions.
Indeed, and I thank you very much. It's a rather brief comment on Nail Bay. The comment is that in 1996, the then permanent secretary in the Chief Minister's office wrote a letter to Nail Bay giving them certain authorization and rights. And when the Executive Council at the time heard of it, they said, no, you cannot write that. You have to write them another letter stating these are the facts, which she then did. But incidentally, whenever they would refer to any matter concerning their rights at Nail Bay, they refer to the 1996 letter. I wonder why.
That wasn't supposed to be written in the first place?
No, it wasn't supposed to be written in the first place, but they always refer to that one.
Okay. The BVI is experiencing economic challenges. The economy is sluggish. Everyone, I don't know, you feeling the pinch?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're feeling the pinch, because you have a captive audience, and if you're feeling the pinch, then I could imagine the rest of the territory.
Yes.
Virgin Gorda, of course, is no exception, and Virgin Gorda is a major player in bringing money into the territory. The economy is by far the most important issue in the campaign right now, because with all the things that has to be done regarding the infrastructure, regarding the development of our various products, be it tourism or financial services, the services that we provide to ourselves, education, health, we need money.
Yes, that's right.
Tell us about your plans to get some money into Virgin Gorda and into the territory. Virgin Gorda is a major player in the tourism product.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that. First of all, we talk a lot about how we will grow the economy, but all of the hotels, I believe, in Virgin Gorda and perhaps in the rest of the territory could be almost 100%, could have 100% occupancy at all times. What the government has done in allowing these hotels to come in unregulated, they have no standards, they charge whatever they want, they charge prices as though they're a 5-star hotel, when in fact they may not even have 1 star. Their grounds are unkept, the staff unfriendly and disgruntled because they're being underpaid. It's an unsustainable situation with these hotels. What the government needs to do, I believe, is to set up some standards. For example, if you are a member of preferred hotels, they come unannounced. You do not know when they're going to come. They come and inspect your property, pretending that they're guests themselves. And they then, upon their departure, they write you and tell you there are certain things that you must do. You know, maybe they might say you have to change your crockery. We don't like your crockery. We do not like the paint on the wall. And your beds must go out. You had those beds now 2-3 years, you need to throw them out. Get rid of them, and so on and so forth. We have no standards. We do not know of the hundreds and thousands of tourists that come in Virgin Islands and in these hotels. We have no idea at all as to whether people have had an enjoyable stay in the Virgin Islands, whether they would come back, whether they would recommend it to their friends, and so on and so forth. We just don't know. We must set standards. We must not allow hotels to charge whatever they want. You can't charge $600–700 a day when you only should be charging maybe $150. So
you're going to be advocating for a standard institution to manage the standards of
absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
You're right. Absolutely. That's the question. Yes.
And how are you going to regulate the pricing?
Well, it has to go by we'll have to bring in some company that deals with that know more about it than I do. I know Preferred Hotels is recognized around the world as one of the leading companies that do that type of thing. And I would want to have a full discussion with my colleagues, should I be elected, that we need to set standards. We need to have a property must be rated. Are you a one-star hotel? If you're a one-star hotel, then you can only charge X and X dollars. You can't charge that $700 to $1,000 a day. When, I mean, you don't have the type of staffing that can produce that level of service.
But wouldn't you meet great resistance from the properties that say they are providing the service and they need to charge this money in order for them to make a reasonable profit, in order for them to do business here? And if they can't, if they're not allowed to charge what they need to charge in order to make a reasonable profit, then they might have to leave, and then the persons who have the jobs would be out of work. Wouldn't that have a negative impact on the economy?
Well, that's one way to look at it, but there are other ways to look at it as well. They should want to know that their property is rated. If you're rated properly and you have 2 stars, 3 stars, you charge accordingly. The property that has 5 stars can charge more. You cannot charge the exorbitant prices and so on that I hear about, and I know about, having worked in the hotel industry for all these years. And your lawns and so on, unmanicured, unkept, weeds growing in front of the desk and so on. Come on, man!
You're saying that lack of association with an established standard setter in the international hotel industry is a reason why we are not getting the tourists that we would ordinarily get, or we can get?
That's right. That's one of them. I mean, in the summertime, for example, Vajingada is like a ghost town. Most of the hotels close. Why? Because the level of business has fallen off. The profits have fallen off, and therefore, to maximize their profit and to reduce costs, they close 3-4 months, 2-3 months at least. And they send all their staff home on vacation at the same time, which further depresses the economy of Vajingada.
But in your view, is that a deliberate act, or is that a result of persons not traveling on vacation during those months?
Persons who would want to travel during the summer are not prepared to pay those kind of prices to stay in a hotel in the summertime. And so we need to look at that.
Well, does the government have that responsibility, or does the hotelier have that responsibility?
The government has the responsibility. We spend $15 million a year on tourism. That's our $15 million to advertise their businesses. And so we must then insist on certain standards and certain conduct and certain rating. You just can't jump up and charge whatever you want because you own the property. So if you're damaging the Virgin Islands, really.
If you're elected, there would no longer be business as usual in the hotel industry.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
If you are to have your way.
That's right. That's right. I will want to put it to the others. And you know, it will not be my decision alone, but all I'm saying is that the property owners should be interested in that. They should want to know that their property is rated. And it's also a way of bringing more people to the Virgin Islands, and that especially return business. People must want to feel that they had a very good time in the country, that they were not ripped off, they were not overcharged, and that they feel safe and comfortable in these islands.
The government is blaming the recession, the quote-unquote global recession. I mean, if that is true, no matter what you do, regarding the standards, regarding the regulation of the prices, will you be able to get tourists into the territory? Do you have another way? And by the way, we need tourists, we need additional tourists in the territory. No, according to the premier figures, tourism has gone from DPU figures over 900,000 in 2007 to 525,000 this year. That's so approximately a 40% decrease in tourists coming into the territory. So there's a lot that we can't wait on when a significant portion of your income has been cut off and you need that money to pay your bills.
Yes.
How are you going to reverse that trend, turn that around in the immediate sense?
Well, the situation is simply this. We as a government and as a people, we have allowed the hotels to decide what type of product we are going to put out of the Virgin Islands, what type of product we are going to sell. And it shouldn't be that way. We, the government, should be very involved, I believe, in the type of product that we are selling. For example, when we had the Concorde, where you could only the very rich people, and there are not very many of them. The majority of the people in the world are middle-class people trying to make ends meet and would like to take a vacation, but we charge them too much. And we cater mainly for high-end tourists. Why is that? Don't we want the middle-class people to come and take a vacation? Or we just want a few very rich people to come? They
say they spend more money and it's less wear and tear on the territory.
Well,
you're disputing that claim?
Yeah, I would dispute that. I mean, do we have figures? I don't think we have that kind of data to show that by having the very wealthy. In fact, I believe, from what I know, that the very wealthy spend very little money. They don't go in shops, and people who come on the yachts, the mega yachts, don't spend any money. They come with all their staff, with all their provisioning, all their liquor, all their cigarette, whatever they would need. There's no need for them to come ashore and buy anything. And if they need to buy it, they will go to St. Thomas or Puerto Rico and load up and come back.
We can't get tourists into the territory. How are you going to handle that?
You mean airlift, transportation?
Yes.
Well, I don't think that we have been marketing what we have. We're now talking about spending a very large sum of money to expand Beef Island Airport. I don't know why we want to do that right now. There are so many things that we can do with the airport that we do have to get people into the Virgin Islands. But our marketing strategy, I believe, is a failure. We have people on the tourist board who don't know what they're doing. They've never been in a hotel. They don't know anything about hotel work. They don't know anything about the hospitality industry. They're just friends of the premier and they get a job to sit and discuss. About 15 of them sit and discuss all day about how to bring tourists to the Virgin Islands.
You talking about the board, or you talking about the managers? The managers.
I'm talking about both set of people.
You gonna fire all of them?
No, I wouldn't fire them. People must be trained. You must know exactly what you're about. I mean, if why would you want people who just to sit and talk? They have no authority, and some of them are not very knowledgeable about the hotel industry. No, there are people in the Virgin Islands who are not on the tourist board, who are very knowledgeable, and who would make a tremendous contribution and would add much value to our product and to our country. They're not on the tourist board. They have never been on the tourist board.
So it's a matter of choosing the right people?
Of course. Look for those people and just put them to work for us.
You addressed the question in terms of marketing the territory, but the facts still remain that, or you don't believe that we don't have enough flights coming in, we don't have enough airlift, and we need a bigger airport, we need the Virgin Garda. I mean, what is it that we need to get the tourists here? Or you think that we have what we need to get the tourists here?
I think we have what we need if we were to focus more on the things that we do have, and if we were to market properly and cut out the amount of parties that the offices have. Those offices in the States, they're living it up, and even the one in England, oh, they're having a great time. They invite their friends and they just lavish off and have a great time on our money. But in terms of real marketing, going after people who would want to come to the Virgin Islands or to return to the Virgin Islands, there's very little of that going on, as far as I am able to understand.
American Airlines is in trouble. They look into, we have a difficult time keeping them coming here. We don't have very many airlines come into the BVI. Liat it's got not the best reputation or the reputation we like it to have. So how can you say that only that marketing is a real problem?
Well, we need
what are we going to do about the airlift?
That's a very good question. Let us look at other airlines. American Airlines is not the only airline. Let's talk to other airlines, and let us see what type of market we have. What capacity are we looking for, and so on? What will be our requirement in the busy time of the year and in the slow time of the year? Let us look at it and let us put it to the various airlines. Would you be interested if we were to make an arrangement with you, like other countries have done in the Caribbean? Countries like the Bahamas, they have a good and reasonable arrangement. As a matter of fact, they would even pay your way to come to the Bahamas to spend money. You're not coming just to walk on the beach, you know, you're coming to spend money.
We continue down that, and you seem to be going down that same road of looking outside of what we have for help, and which would put us in the same unsecure or insecure position. The talk a while back about developing a national airline, and not necessarily that the government has to own the airline,
right?
But looking to local companies who is in the airline business to help to facilitate them to develop to the point where they could have a meaningful impact on airlift. I don't hear anybody talking about that.
But that's a very good point, though. And I would be all for that. In fact, I'm all for local people being owners of the means of production, that, as you always say. You're absolutely right. And there is no reason at all why we couldn't have an airline. We had one before, we could have one again. We just have to have the will to do it, and we can raise the money to do it. Let us get on with it. So I'm not saying that we have to depend only on outside capital, and to market just to outside people. We can take vacations ourselves. When last have we been to Anegada, for example? Some of the finest beaches in the Caribbean. When last did we go to Anegada and spend $200 or $300, or to Virgin Gorda?
Well, we have an airlift problem to Anegada. I'd like to fly to Anegada. I don't want to take the boat to Anegada. But we got to take a break. We're going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to open up the phones. We're going to talk some more about some of the other issues on Virgin Gorda and Anegada, the 9th District, with Mr. Rymer right after these words from our sponsors. Keep it locked right there.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Mr. Lorie A. Rymer, candidate for the 9th District in the general elections coming up, and we are talking about the issues in the 9th District and what he intends to do about them. The numbers are going to come up on the screen. You can call me, you can text me. We already have some texts. We're going to get to those in a moment. Transportation, Mr. Rymer, is an issue for Virgin Gorda as well. Whether it's airlift, whether it's ferry service, getting from, we've always had challenges in the connection from Beef Island Airport to Virgin Gorda. Am I mistaken about that?
No, you're not mistaken. You're not mistaken. Okay. And in fact,
how you plan to handle the transportation issues to Virgin Gorda?
Yes. Well, the airport in Virgin Gorda was closed for approximately 11 months. And then we did some works on it. We took a large amount of boulders, and instead of putting them at the head of the airport, where we could fill it, where we could have then filled it with the area with sand and which would compact easily, we took the boulders up, paid a lot of money, and carried them inland. So what we did actually was just a little artificial cleanup. It is a waste of money So the airport now can only accommodate one aircraft. The aircraft that used to go there, the 9-seater, can no longer go to Wajingada. And it has just been a joke.
So what can be done about that?
The airport can be lengthened. The airport can be properly certified to take a larger aircraft. We need to do some work on it.
But isn't that a challenge? Isn't there some regulation that prevents that from happening?
No, not really. We could have, while scraping the surface, we could have enlarged it at that time. Oh yeah, we could have done that. We could have done that.
So the main problem is coming into Virgin Gorda from the airport. Is there any other way that you have in mind to bring tourists to Virgin Gorda? Transportation means?
Well, the system that we now have, I think, seems to be working fairly well. The sea transportation, I know that we have various vessels plying the waters between Virgin Gorda and Tortola and so on. And that seems to be working fairly well. But I would want to see the airport properly structured so that we can take larger aircraft to bring passengers to Virgin Gorda directly from Puerto Rico and St. Thomas and so on and so forth.
Anegada must be having some real challenges. We used to have a local airline flying to Anegada on a regular basis. That has stopped. You could get to Anegada in that airline by charter. What are your plans for getting tourists to Anegada and for the development of Anegada?
Very good question, my good brother. Anegada, as you know, has been cut off from the rest of the Virgin Islands for a very long time. The people of Anegada are still undergoing much suffering. And so I would want to meet with the airlines, find out exactly what their problems are. I know that there's some problems. There's some problems with the regulators. There are some problems with the people that regulate and tell us that we cannot fly to certain destinations unless we do certain things. I would want to talk to the airlines and of course to the regulators as well to see exactly what those problems are and how we can best sort them out. But Anegada remains a rather difficult situation because it has been left unattended for so long. And I think that the people of Anegada themselves have now concluded that under this administration and under this leadership and under this representation and under this representative, they're not going to get anything more. I think that they have concluded that it's all lost, it's all gone, they're not going to get anything more. They have to have someone else that has an interest in them. And just the other day, Mr. O'Neill and the Minister of Natural Resources and Labor went up to Anegada to give out and hand out deeds, certificates of and so on, deeds of ownership to lands on Anegada just before a general election. Now we know that the lands of Anegada belongs to the Anegadians alone. We know that because the document which sets it out clearly and plainly states that the government has no land on Anegada at all. And if you were to ask the minister, well, the two ministers, if you were to ask them, the minister and the representative, well, how come you are going to Anegada to hand out certificates for land when the people own the land already? And by what authority under law are you doing that? Or can you do that? They couldn't answer you. They would say, well, we don't know. We believe that we have the right to do that, but they don't. There's a law.
Well, are they giving out land to Anegadians, or are they giving title so that Anegadians who already own the land can now in fact use the land to do things that they might want to do to develop themselves.
Mind you, I'm not against the idea of handing out the certificates, you know. That's not what I'm saying, my brother. What I'm saying is that just before an election, they make it appear as though, well, here we are, handing you a certificate, and we hope that you would somehow go our way. Go away. But I know that in the last election, they only got 10 votes in Anegada.
Okay, so you're saying that this is an election gimmick?
It's a gimmick.
And they're just doing it to appear as though they're doing something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, if you were to look at the restroom facilities on Anegada, for example. I mean, if you were to go in Anegada now and see the restroom facilities, you might want to cry. You wouldn't want to believe it at all. It's a joke. And Anegada, a beautiful place, some of the finest beaches, as I said earlier, in the Virgin Islands. We should have proper restroom facilities. We have money for all sorts of things. No question at all. Look, we just spent almost $6 million for the greenhouse system. We have produced nothing. And we're not going to produce anything for a very long time. But we had money for that. But to build a nice reception center on the dock on Anegada, we don't have money for that.
In your mind, do you have a vision for Anegada? Because Anegada is largely undeveloped and underdeveloped.
Yes.
In your mind, if you were to be the representative of Anegada, what would you like to see happen to Anegada on a grand scale?
I would like to see that the people of Anegada would have access to capital, that they would be able to get loans much more easily than they now obtains, and that they would join together with their neighbors, farm companies, own nice villas on some of those fine beaches on Anegada, that they would keep out the people who want now to go in and own all the land of Anegada. Incidentally, some of the people from Nail Bay are now on Anegada. And they eating up over land on Anegada. The land of Anegada should not be passed on to them. It should be left for the people of Anegada to develop and to have and to pass on to their descendants.
How are these people able to get land in Anegada if the land is for Anegadians?
They got it by purchasing it from an Anegadian, but we are discouraging that. So
some people in Anegada do have titles to the land and are able to transfer the land.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, let's go. We have a lot of texts, so we have to get the phone lines are open as well. Let me. It's okay. Good night. In the House of Assembly meeting earlier this year, the Premier stated that a tenant at the admin complex does not pay rent. The popular view is that Mr. Rymer is a tenant referred to. Please ask your guest whether he is a tenant referred to, and if yes, does he pay any rent? If he doesn't pay rent, is there a legal reason why he does not pay the rent? I ask this because this goes to his credibility for public office if he has failed to pay rent due to the government.
That's a very good question there. In 1995, the government put out a tender, and my understanding is that about 18 persons applied. And at each meeting, the number would become smaller and smaller until it came down to one person. And the understanding is that I have a lawful arrangement with the government, and because of the type of service that it is, I didn't have to pay rent. And that the cost would be absorbed in a different way, and for that I would hold the price of the meals at a certain level, and so on and so forth. So the answer to the question, which the texter just sent in there, is yes. I suppose I'm the person you're referring to, and yes, I have a lawful arrangement with the government of the Virgin Islands, and yes, I pay no rent.
And you pay no rent because you keep the prices of the food a certain way. That's part of the agreement with the government.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that.
Good night. Your guest was on the negotiating team to bring by water here. Please ask him whether he is in favor of that contract and to please explain his answer.
Yes, well, I was on this fine station a few times before, and that particular question was put to me. So let me try and answer it this way. I was asked if I would be willing to sit on a committee to negotiate a deal with a company. The company was Bywater. The remit was that I should meet and discuss, negotiate, and conclude a deal with them for the government. I did not ask to be put on any committee, you know. I hope that people of the Virgin Islands would understand that. I did not invite myself. I suppose that they put me there because they figured I had a contribution to make. Now, I did not tell the government to whom the contract should be given. And I want to make that very, very clear. After we negotiated the matter, I traveled to Miami twice. I went to Panama once. We met with the company. We negotiated this deal for almost a year. And down in the administration building, going through the document, making changes, saying what the government would be willing to accept. And finally, when we returned, the rest of the team, when we returned from our trip, we were invited to make a presentation to the cabinet. And the governor asked each person around the table, are you satisfied that this deal is a good deal, it will be of benefit to the people of the Virgin Islands? And the answer of every single person there was yes. This is a good deal, and it's a good deal for the Virgin Islands. I could not, at the negotiating table, raise the matter of, well, why not give it to somebody else? The remit was to negotiate with Bywater, and that's what I did. And let me say one other thing, if I may, please, rather briefly. After we returned and we made the presentation to the cabinet, the papers sat on the desk of the Premier for 6 months. So when they called me and they said, look, we want you to be up in the cabinet office, cabinet room, meeting room tomorrow morning at 8:45, I had no idea to whom the contract would be let.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still feel that it's a good deal?
The deal itself is a good deal. Now, as you always say, we should not give out the means of production to someone else who from the outside. That's a valid point, and I accept that. And I tried all I could to see that it would go out on public tender. I made that statement public. I made that statement in the meeting that a deal like this, a very large deal, the largest financial transaction in the history of the Virgin Islands, should go to public tender. Well, I couldn't get it to public tender. I tried.
It speaks to whether, if you're elected, how would you look out for BVI Islander interests? I think this, Bywater has become a symbol, in my view, and I think from this scholar's, this Texas question, the symbolism is that it represents our elected officials not looking out after our interests.
Well, let me answer you this way. I believe that the Bywater matter has been handled very poorly and very badly by the government of the Virgin Islands. Plain and simple. But the actual deal itself, what we were responsible for was to make sure that there was legal sufficiency, and also that there would be the materials to be used were of a certain type and of a certain size and of a certain quality. Those are the things that we were to look out for. And by the way, I'm the first person to say that there was indeed contingent liability on the government. I made that statement shortly after I returned from Panama, without question.
Should that deal, in your view, let's separate the deal out. Should that deal, in your view, have been given to a local company?
I wish it, yes, but now I wish that it would have been given to a local company, yes. And perhaps if it had gone to tender, that might have been the case. Now, I'm aware that Ocean Conversion made a bid. That bid was never given to us. They made a proposal. That proposal was never, at least not given to me. I have a copy of it now, but I did not receive that from the government. I did not receive that from the government, and so I do not know whether the Premier and the rest of the government actually negotiated with Ocean Conversion? I don't know. I know I didn't.
Okay. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. You're on Spotlight. Go right ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes.
I would like to ask Mr. Rymer, if he gets elected to the House of Assembly and this document comes as a contingent liability and it has to be voted on, would he vote for it or against it?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer because it's rather insightful but rather difficult because, as I just told my good brother here and the people of the Virgin Islands, I am the first person to have admitted that yes, indeed, there is contingent liability on the part of the government. I mean, how would it be that a foreigner is going to come in your country and will want to spend up to $45 million and he has no guarantee at all? And the very land on which he is now going to put his development, his plans and so on, you are able at future time to tell him to get the hell off it. How would that be? You have to give certain guarantees, but that does not mean that the company, for example, can just walk away from their commitment. There has to be reasonableness, and if by water, since we're talking about them now directly, if they were to walk away from that contract, they can be held liable anywhere in the world, and they can be found guilty of not being reasonable in the arrangement and not being reasonable in the undertaking that they made with the government of the Virgin Islands. But the government just cannot tell them, look, well, we do not understand how you got to be here, and you should take up your stuff and leave. That would be unreasonable on our part. And I suppose that would apply to any company.
The caller is gone, I think. Caller, you there? All right, let me get this call. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. Go right ahead, please. Thank you for calling Spotlight.
My question is, with what this agreement,
turn your television down, please, my brother. And speak into your phone and listen through your phone. You'll be able to hear okay. Go right ahead.
My question is that which was about this agreement in the history of the Virgin Islands for Everton North?
Well, that is really not a question that I can answer, you know. I mean, you know, I'm here as a guest of this show, but I am not the government. I'm not a member of the government. I'm not a minister in the government. I don't see how I could answer that one. All I'm saying is that it is possible that the water purchase agreement could have been tendered and should have been tendered.
All or just the boy water one?
Say that again?
I didn't understand.
All the water purchase agreement or just the boy water one?
He said, should all water purchase agreements be tendered or just the one for Bywater? Just this one with Bywater? No.
Well, I would suppose if we are going to have public-private partnership, they should be tendered. But you have to understand what type of arrangement this is. This is not just a water purchase agreement, you know. This is a boot arrangement where they will build, own, transfer, and so on after a certain period of time. And now, but that agreement could have been given to one of the other companies as well. It didn't have to be given to Bywater. It's a boot arrangement, and there are private partnership all over the world. This is not the only one in the world. This is not the only one in the Caribbean where the government would enter into an agreement with a private company to accomplish a particular thing. And the particular thing was that the feeling at the time was that ocean conversion prices were much too high. And as a way to get those prices down, the feeling was that there should be competition in this way. Now, this is not the only way, but in this way, and you have seen the result when they have in the document now. They have matched what, and in some instances they have even gone lower than what Bywater has offered.
I call it there. You want to follow up?
Yes. My question is to Mr. Rymer, if he supports the Bywater project or he opposes the Bywater project.
Are you supporting the project? Are you supporting it now or are you opposing it now?
I'm not opposing anything. I'm not involved with it now. I've done what I had to do. I was asked to help to negotiate a deal. I've done that. We submitted the documents to the government of the Virgin Islands, and I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm a private individual, and I don't necessarily have to say what my private view now is.
But as a candidate, though, for elective office in the Virgin Islands, with an issue that's going to impact the entire Virgin Islands, I think it's important for you to say, from a social, economic perspective, as a representative, whether you can support something, a contract, the Bywater agreement that is going to have the impact it's going to have socially and economically on the people of the territory. I mean, as an elected representative,
yeah,
I think you have a duty. I think you have a duty to make take a position from that perspective.
Okay, well, let me answer it this way then. I would want to see that the government stands by any commitment that it makes. Because if it doesn't, it itself could be held liable for breach of contract.
But if there was a way out of this agreement based on a breach by the company, would you be in favor of the government taking advantage of that opportunity to get out of that contract through that breach?
Yes, if there's a breach, if it's a material breach, it just can't be a little breach. It has to be material that goes
if it's not going to cost the people of the BVI anything for the government to do away with this contract, would you be in support of that? If it's not going to cost us anything, and we could take this contract away from Bywater without any liability, without any cost to us, and give it to send it out to bid, or give it to a local company, or do something else with it, would you be in support of that?
That's a very difficult question you asked me there. I know you would ask me some difficult question, but that is a difficult question, because here we are. At the end of the day, we do have a binding contract on both parties. And so it's not fair to ask me if I would be in support of it or against it if the situations were different. That's a very difficult question you asked me there. Very difficult.
All right, caller, thank you very much for calling.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to take a break.
Surely.
And we're going to come back with more phone calls and more texts right after these words. Don't go away. It's going to get a lot more interesting.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the Radio Doctor, Totola Concrete Limited, and Varieties and Electronics.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Mr. Lorie Rymer, Lorie A. Rymer, candidate for the 9th District in the upcoming general elections. He's opened up himself to be questioned by you. The number's on the screen. You can call me or you can text me. Good night. There are, as of today, 5 candidates for the 9th District, namely your guest, you, Mr. Rymer, Mr. Osborne, the Premier, Hubert O'Neill, and Samuel O'Neill. Could you ask your guest whether this 5-man race does not make it easy for the incumbent Ralph O'Neill to regain his seat, as the die-hard VIPs will vote for him, and then the votes of the non-diehards will be split among the 4 remaining candidates?
No, I do not see it that way. I see that for myself. I'll just speak for myself. I make the case to the people that, first of all, I'm for real, and that I'm prepared and ready and qualified to be the representative if the people will have me. If the people of the 9th District would join with the others who have asked me to step forward, then I believe that I would win the election. I don't have to win, but I could win. And that is where I am basing all of my efforts. I'm basing my efforts on the belief that as a citizen of the Virgin Islands and as a Virgin Islander, I have the right to run and seek a seat. I'm doing that. And you know, incidentally, there are people on Virgin Gorda in particular who are afraid of their representative right now. Or they're afraid of him. They have said to me, you know, I'm in support of you, I'm supporting you, but I was promised a little job, cut some bush, I was promised a little job to do so, and I don't want to jeopardize that. So if you don't see me to your meetings, Mr. Rymer, it is not that I'm not in support of you, it is that I'm afraid. I am afraid. I don't know why people would want to be fearful of their representative, but I suppose after 36 years of incumbents and being an incumbent, one could get the feeling that, well, the seat is my seat. And here is Mr. Rymer trying to get it from me. But it's up to the people. It's the people's seat. The seat does not belong to Mr. O'Neill, or to me, or to any one of the other 5 who would be running. The seat is the people's seat, and they will decide at the end of the day who has a plan for the district.
Okay. Why don't they make a bridge from Virgin Gorda to Beaufort Island? You would? Is that an idea that you would entertain?
No, maybe my children might, my grandchildren, but I wouldn't go into that right now. We have too many problems, real serious problems in the 9th district to get into that kind of things.
It's good night, Cromwell. When the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Keep up the good work, Mr. Rymer, and tell them those seats are not for sitting.
I know exactly who that is. That's my good friend, and I appreciate it.
A bit of humor.
A bit of humor there, yeah. But he's always with me, and I thank him for it. And he's a good friend of mine.
In reference to comments made by the public about the Premier's age, does Mr. Rymer think that he is almost at the same age and he should leave room for the younger ones?
No, I don't want to make any comment on his age. What I am saying is that...
Hold a minute, please.
What I'm saying is that what I would want to say to the public is this, that I have laid out a number of plans, and it's just not yesterday afternoon. I laid out some plans about 2.5 years ago as to the direction that the district is headed in. And incidentally, when Mr. O'Neill spoke Saturday evening, he has been able to regurgitate verbatim all of the things that I have said. I believe that there was someone in the audience who may have taped the program for him. When I gave that lecture up in the community center almost 2.5 years ago. And I would be ashamed, really, having been in the House of Assembly, in the Legislative Council for 36 years, to want to take material from a newcomer, someone who's just coming up and putting forward some things. For example, before you go to the call, if I may, he's now saying, well, the time has come now for us to take back lands on Virgin Gorda and to provide a place where people could build a house and so on. I've been arguing about that all along. Okay, time has passed, really. It's past time.
Yeah. Let's go to the phone. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Right here, please.
Good evening, Mr. Rymer. And Mr. Cromwell.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
Yes. Mr. Rymer, I'd like to follow up on that comment you talked about. The time has come for Virgin Gordians to finally own some land so that they can build for up villas and rent to the tourists. Now, I recall you talking about making that point, as you said, some time back. And as far as I'm concerned, tourism started in the BVI, particularly in Virgin Gorda, in 1964, and then in here on Tortola with the Moorings and CSY, Caribbean Sailing Yacht. And it took all these years, as you mentioned, to figure out that the time has come for Virgin Islands to be participant in the industry for which we spend millions of dollars per year, and for which we normally, I guess, we're promoting jobs. Now, you also said some time ago that Virgin Gorda has more national parks than any other part of the BVI. And so therefore, if you have several national parks, tourism, the areas that the tourists already would want to rent a villa has already been taken. So it seems to me now we're talking about producing, giving up land for the folks up at Minton Hill. That's one of the areas that I heard mentioned. And those Minton Hill and Hill land, we all know that tourists want to be as close to the beach as possible. So it seems to me that there is a contradiction here to say that you want to now to get your folks into tourism to participate, but they have no land, they have no way to go, they have no way to get there because like Mayo Bay's gone for 150 years, and then Long Bay's the other place, the YC of Long Bay's the other place that's your Virgin Islands where locals can get involved in tourism, own villas and own gift shops and what have you. And by the way, a lot of my things about the tourism period is that for all these years, the BVI lands we hardly involved in tourism. We don't have dive boats. We're not into scuba diving. We don't own day sailors. One or two of us own a few boats and one or two sport fishers. So to me, that's one of the areas that I would really be interested in hearing more about getting Virgin Islanders involved in the tourism, owning villas, perhaps the same Long Bay. And I know there have been some folks trying to get Long Bay from the government for years and years and years.
Carla, I think...
I want to hang up there and just take some comments offline.
Yes, thanks, yes.
Well, thank you very much for that good call. I think that you have put it even better than I could. Wajangada has been dealt a blow, a very serious blow in the gut, I believe. In 1960, when Rockefeller purchased the land to build Little Dix Bay, he was also given, as you have said, and rightly said, a large amount of land, thousands upon thousands of acres of land, whereas he's only building a very small hotel. And you know, there was the matter of the 200-foot corridor, where people were not allowed to build houses, and anyone who had a house above the 200-foot corridor in Wajangada, upon their death, the house was to be demolished. It's only after the people said, no, we are not going to go along with that. We would end up being like St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands. And so, yes, you are correct. The people of Wajangada have been effectively shut out of development, real development.
But forgive me for cutting you out, but you're going to soon find an attorney at the clock. I think the question the caller is raising is all of that history. Since that history being the case, how are you going to get Virgin Gardens involved in the tourism industry in a meaningful way? And the beaches that the waterfront property he's saying has already been taken, except for I think Long Bay and one other beach he named.
Yes.
So what are you going to do to open up those beaches that have now become landlocked by whatever means the investors who build close to those beaches were able to prevent local people from coming to those beaches through the land?
That's a very good question as well. Very insightful question. And here's what I have to say about that rather briefly. The area of Long Bay, there were four or five persons on that land for more than 70 years producing food for us, and we didn't have to pay for it. They produced food for the people of Wajangada, people like the late Waldemar Creaky, Oswald Creaky, Orlando George, William Rymer, and Reginald Rymer.
Turn your television down, please.
These men have worked that land for more than 70 years, paid rent to the government. And in 1965, the now representative, Mr. Ralph O'Neill, who was then the government secretary, went from house to house in Wajangada, in the North Song in particular, and told them, look, you're going to have to give up that land, you know. We're sorry, but you're going to have to sell your cattle. They sold their cattle to Louis Fontaine from Guadeloupe, and the people left the land reluctantly. Some of them were never paid anything at all for their fruit trees and the coconut trees and for their wells and so on and so forth. I am now saying I would like to see their descendants on Long Bay They need to farm companies, own a villa, rent it to the tourists, and bring money into the Virgin Islands for themselves.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. Caller, you there? Caller, you on Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So Rymer, the clock is terrorizing us. The clock is terrorizing us, Mr. Rymer. What Mr. Rymer view on finance? Honorable O'Neill say we overspent 3 years now in the finance. He said the country is in financial trouble, and the VIP government is saying we have the best standard of living in the region, and the said government owe the people 20+ million. We got to be careful. The Virgin Island goes to the dogs. What do you think about our financial situation?
Our financial situation is not good. And
hold on, please.
And by the way, the government has just released that report which speaks about the standard of living in the Virgin Islands. But there's another report done by the Caribbean Development Bank which says that 22% of our population lives below the poverty line. We are in poverty. 16% of the households in the Virgin Islands are below the poverty line. There are some serious questions as to the standard of living in the Virgin Islands. Although we live in an ocean of affluence, there are people who make real money, but there are other people who can hardly make the money to eat.
How would you manage a situation like that?
Well,
what would you do about that to have a fairer distribution of the wealth of the territory?
I will see to it, and I'll put it to the other members, that we need to amend our laws to make sure that Virgin Islanders can take an active part in the financial industry, trust companies and so on. You know that you have to have and deposit $250,000 effectively, and therefore there is no Virgin Islander at all, none, involved in the financial services. Why are we creating all of these products for other people to come in and have, and we cannot facilitate and have them for ourselves? It's absolute nonsense.
Okay. Well, I understand your point, even though it's not entirely accurate to say no Virgin Islanders involved in the trust business, because you have J.S. Archibald, you have Dancy Penn and Company, and various others. But I understand the point.
Yes, you're right with that.
Yeah. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I have one more question, and the question is about concerning our sports tourism.
Yes, go ahead.
And sports tourism, and I'm aware that on Virgin Gardens there's a pool that is being built. It's been, it started to be built maybe a couple of years ago, and right now it's sitting unfinished. It's overgrown. There are goats and animals living on it. But this pool, it's a FINA. FINA is an organization that is certified by the Olympic Committee to oversee and set standards and rules for swimming and water polo and various water sports. Now this pool, I was over in Virgin Garden recently, and there's two parts of the pool. There's a huge building, maybe close to 80 feet or maybe 100 feet, that is already built. It has, the only thing that is perhaps is missing is the bathroom utensils and toilets and what have you.
Please get to the question, Carl.
Several showers. But the pool itself is probably just above the ground. It is still sticking up. And I'm also aware that there are several organizations, swimming organizations outside the BVI.
Carla, please get to the question, just because we're running out of time.
The point is that pool can become part of our sports tourism product in terms of bringing people into the BVI, having competition, for example, between Tortola and the various islands, coming to Virgin Islands, practicing. Perhaps within the 3 years to 4 years, we can have a team going to the Olympic to represent the BVI.
Let's get Mr. Rymer's response to that.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
I thank you very much, Carla, for that question and your observation. You're absolutely right. This pool in Wajangada, unfinished, 25 meters long, 82 feet. It has finer specs. The specification for this pool meets all international standards. It's there. It's unfinished. It can be finished with a small amount of money.
Spotlight, hold on, please.
And I would do whatever I can, if I were to become the representative of the 9th district, to see that this pool becomes a reality. I know that St. Lucia also has a pool, and Barbados and the other country in the Caribbean would be Puerto Rico. We need one as well. There's no reason why we shouldn't have one, and that we shouldn't be able to take part in the swimming meet and in the Olympics and so on and so forth. And this brings business to Wajangada, particularly in the slow time like now, when most hotels have shut their doors.
Okay, let's go to the phone. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
Speak.
I will be much shorter than the last gentleman.
Well, I hope so.
I would like to know what is going to happen with the greenhouses in Wajangada.
All right, thank you very much for that call.
It's a very good question, my good friend. The greenhouses has been a colossal debacle. A colossal debacle. We have spent so far close to $6 million, and we have nothing to show for it more than weeds. And anytime you grow food under the hydroponic method, after a while you have to discard the hydroponic materials, which are highly toxic and poisonous. And we, the government, and the people of the Virgin Islands cannot say, well, where they will want to discharge that material. If you discharge it on the ground, you're going to poison the grass. Now, this is research. This is the result of a large amount, a copious amount of research. And if you were to discharge it in the ocean, you're going to kill marine life and so on and so forth. The farmers have already said they will take no part in it. The government has no idea how much they need to produce in order to break even. The minister has said that he will produce 15,000 pounds of tomatoes. We asked him, well, where's the market? He doesn't know. When will you start? He does not know. And what else are you going to produce? Only tomatoes, and so on and so forth. This is a joke. This is a joke. And we could have spent that almost $6 million that we wasted there. We could have spent those monies on Wajangada, for example, providing a facility sufficiently capable of treating our people when they're sick.
Speaking of treating our people when they're sick, what's your position on healthcare in Wajangada is a major issue. Airlift to people's hospital, as well as providing for healthcare, emergency care, and other care on Wajangada.
Thank you very much for that.
And Anegada, for that matter.
Thank you very much for that question, my good brother. Let me answer it this way, and I'll be rather brief with it. Some time ago, the Premier said that he made an announcement that someone at Valley Trunk offered to purchase the vessel for us to be used as a marine ambulance. And I said it's a bad idea at this time. And the reason is that if someone in Wajangada has a heart attack, for example, you would want to get that person into a medical facility as soon as possible in order to ensure recovery. But with this vessel, which we will have to put up 50%, the gentleman said, oh, you will have to put up 400,000. I will put up 400,000, you put up 400,000. I believe the vessel may only have cost 500,000, let's say. And therefore he'll put up 100,000, we'll put up 400,000. We'll have to have 2 captains at all times on the vessel or near to the vessel, along with at least 2 medical personnel. We have to bear all that cost, maintenance costs, operational costs, and so on and so forth. And incidentally, it's going to cost approximately $900 to bring someone from Wajangada. It's not going to be free, because you're going to come down in style. Mm-hmm. You're going to be hooked up to all imaginable pieces of equipment to sustain life, mm-hmm. unnecessarily, of course. And what I would want is for us to put all our monies and all our effort and concentration on developing the facility in Vajingada sufficiently capable. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it a mini hospital, a full hospital, an enlarged clinic. I don't care about that. Let's get it going. Let's get it on.
Okay. All right. We finally at 30 o'clock. I'm supposed to wrap up. Let's see. If you had a choice between the VIP or NDP to form the government, who will it be?
I'm afraid I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that question.
What are you going to? What can you do about the Vajingada jetty? No parking, cargo, ferry boat mix up.
Well, I don't know if the taxer is from Vajingada, but I've had a number of lectures on it, and I have a plan to effectively separate cargo from passengers. And by the way, I am in favor of
without building a dock.
Without building a dock, absolutely. I am not at all in. I am not at all in favor of tearing up the last piece of remaining land that we have to build a dock to unload blocks and sand and gravel and steel and so on. I'm not in favor of that. What I am in favor of now, tonight, tomorrow, next week, and forever, is to acquire lands that have been taken away from us through pretense and lies and smiles. And so I applaud the Premier for his efforts now in trying to get back Manchiniedle Bottom, but not for the purpose for which he has outlined to us. We can use the dock that we have. We can make certain changes. I have them all on paper. People can come to my meeting, and well, those who have come know of the changes that I will make to use that particular dock, move certain things around, move the gate to the shed and all the rest of that and so forth. And
so you use the same. You say you're saying dock and you divide it in two.
No, you're not dividing the dock. What you're going to do, you're going to move the bulkhead down by the gut. We're going to have to negotiate with the landowners to get a small portion of that land, block off the area so that passengers will come and turn around and go that way. Heavy trucks and so on and lorries will come, pick up their stuff from the barge and go the other way, and you have solved the problem. We don't need to spend millions of dollars. And incidentally, the $40 million that we now have to find to build the dock at West End, you think we're going to get that $40 million? And now we want to talk about spending another 25, 30 million watching God. It's not going to happen now. We don't have that kind of money and those kind of resources. And we have, in this time of stringency and downturn, we shouldn't be wasting our money with things like that right now. No.
Good night. What the gentleman is saying about Little Licks Bay Hotel is right. They are abusing the staff, giving too much work. Sometimes we don't get any lunch. We need help at Little Licks Bay. Too much abuse is going on there. Help us, please.
Well, to the taxer, you know, the thing is this: the Labor Department should be investigated. Because if you, as a worker, have a complaint and you go to the labor office, what you're going to be told is, well, first of all, you need to come back. The person that you need to see is not here. And when you do get an appointment to see that person, you know where that person is going to be? That person, having gotten the information that you are making a complaint about your workplace, they're going to call back to the workplace and say, well, Tom Jones was here. They was here, and any laying off, any downturn in the business, you will be the first to go out the gate, because and meanwhile they will be up in the hotel lavishing it off, eating, drinking, having fun and so on.
This is the Labor Department you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that's what's going on. The governor needs to get involved. The ministers know. All the ministers know what's happening in the Labor Department. But there's a word for it. I think the word is bribe. Is that's the word you think?
Corruption.
Corruption. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Lorie Rymer, the VIP, is the best to run the country. Vote VIP all the way. Okay. Is it true that Mr. Rymer can't vote in the 9th district? Can you vote in the 9th district?
This time I missed the deadline. No, I cannot vote in the 9th district.
Okay. How much will it cost to fix the airport?
Well,
do you know how much it costs to fix the airport?
No, I do not know. I do not know that. question, answer right now, no.
Okay. If elected, when will you promise to have a hospital built in Virgin-Gorda?
That is a very good question there from Tex. I will do the best that I can to ensure that it's a top priority. It's one of the first things that we need to do. We need to secure the health of our people, health care for our people. We need to do that now, tonight. So I will do it as soon as I'm able to.
You answered this question already. Is it a sensible idea to put a cargo dock at Manganiel bottom, Virgin-Gorda, and to have the trucks to go back and forth a fairway to a cargo bay? You answered that. You're totally against that.
I'm totally against it, and I would want that land to be kept as a part of the land bank for our grandchildren. Let them decide later on if they want to put villas there and so on and so forth. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Rymer, your price is very reasonable and your food is very good. No need to pay rent at all. Trying to get... what is your, level of education? What's your level of education?
Okay, I have had a number of courses, University of St. Thomas. I have a degree from the University of Michigan. I am the first person in the Virgin Islands to have been given a gold medal in the culinary arts, the 4th of April 1987. And I have letters after my name.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Rymer, you have some great views and detailed research. That's just a comment. This gentleman is wasting his time. That's a comment. Best of luck, Lorie. You have a hard task in beating the juggernaut that is Ralph O'Neill. Okay. So we fall an attorney o'clock, seeing you. Oh, what's that? Mr. Rymer, how must I vote for you and you don't know you intending the VIP telling all lies, the base? I can't read that. Okay. Seeing that you missed the deadline and means you have poor representation, I hope Virgin-Gorda is hearing that. Okay. All right, that's...
But to add to that, I have already decided that I'm going to be living in the district. I will not have any other job. I'll be a full-time representative. I'll not be going to Virgin-Gorda once a week like the Premier now does, you know, and so on. I will be on Virgin-Gorda. We'll be going to Anegada. We'll be there being accessible to the people and hearing from the people on a regular and constant basis. I will not be an absentee landlord.
Okay.
Yeah.
We finally turning the clock. I just want to ask you, what's your view on the tenor of the campaign so far?
Well, I've noticed...
Don't take a long time.
No, I won't. I'll be most brief. I have noticed that there have been some comments that are absolutely beyond the pale. I would just refer to the comments made by the Minister of Labour, Mr. Hodge, against Ms. Maduro the other day. That's absolutely out of bounds. This seat to which she aspires is the people's seat. The people of the 6th district have a right to hear from others who have different ideas and opinions and plans as to how they would move the district forward. And by the way, as far as I'm concerned, she's talking economics and development. But I would say one thing to her, Ms. Maduro, do not get down in puzzle gut with anybody. Especially now that the rain is coming, you could be swept away under the grill and we could lose you. Stay out of puzzle gut, stay on the high road and present your plans and so on to the people of the 6th district.
So are we going to continue to have a better dialogue, you think, or are you thinking that we are going to generate? Because one of the reasons for this particular program is trying to keep the level of discussion, you know, at a certain standard.
And I thank you for that. You're absolutely right. And but I know throughout the Caribbean, this is the way it is. The incumbent always would feel that, well, he has a right to that, he or she has a right to that particular seat, and that anyone else who aspires to it is interfering with his private and personal business. But that shouldn't be. If someone comes along, if I am elected to the 9th district, I hope I would be, and if I'm elected to the 9th district, 4 years later there's someone else who comes with the better ideas and better plans and so on and so forth, and maybe I didn't perform as well as I should have performed, elect someone else.
Your last text: congratulations for your courage to appear on Spotlight. The other candidates should follow your example and face the people. That's
thank you very much, Texas. Thank you very much for that.
Good text. Yeah, we having some challenges getting. I see all of the independents. Everybody's willing to come, but the major parties. Well, in all fairness, I had some major party people on, but some of the major parties seem like they have challenges.
I would like to say one further thing.
Well, this is your final comment. Make your final comment to the people.
Yes.
Make your appeal, make your statement. You have maybe 30 seconds.
Yes, well, I appeal now to the people of the 9th Electoral District, Wajangada and Agada. You tonight are looking at Lorie Rymer, and I am putting myself forward to be your next representative. There is no question at all as to my qualification or to whether I am up to the task and can do the job. I am no stranger to politics. I know how government works. I don't have to be trained or to be taught by anybody. I am ready to go. I am ready to stand up for you and to defend your position and to see that the riches and the monies of this country, the revenue of this country is distributed to the best benefit of the people in the 9th district, that there's equity and there's equality in distribution and so on and so forth to resources, access to your representative. And I ask that you would, at this 9th hour, that you would know that the day is long spent, and after the dark night, the sun shines very, very brightly. And that is my symbol. When you go to the poll, you will look for the name Lorie Rymer, and you will have elected someone who is serious, capable, and ready to serve you well. And I thank you.
Well, Mr. Rymer, thank you very much. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you for being
my guest on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, and as I said, I think last week, we have added some additional special editions of Spotlight to accommodate the candidates and give them an opportunity to come before you to present their case, present their vision, their plans, their methods, and to be questioned by you, the public, so we can keep the level of discussion at a high standard and you're able to make informed decisions. So tomorrow, Wednesday, a special edition of Spotlight will be here on JTV at 8 p.m. We were going to have the Virgin Islands Party's territorial candidate, Ms. Zoe Walcott McMillan. She's going to be our guest tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss that. And this is going to be your opportunity to question her about her vision, her goals, and her plans for the future development of the British Virgin Islands. Next Monday, there's going to be another special edition of Spotlight. The Spotlight will be on NDP territorial candidate Myron Walwyn and A District candidate Marlon Penn. And Tuesday, next Tuesday, we'll have the Spotlight will be on Miss Teen BVI contestants. We're going to throw a little in there. They actually booked their space from as far back, I think, as August. So they know that you need to really, if you're going to be on Spotlight, you need to book way in advance because Spotlight is hot. So make sure you check your name on the voters list because you don't want to be left out. The lists are posted all around town. I think on the post office there's one, and so you can call the elections office and find out where they're posted. So make sure that you're registered to vote and your name is on the list before it's too late. Just tune in to JTV Channel 55 Tuesdays at 8 and Sundays at 4 p.m. and check for the special editions of Spotlight on the candidates Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Please pay close attention to the words and the actions of our candidates. Don't assume you understand what they are saying. What you don't know, have them clarify. The English language is very, very tricky. English language perhaps is one of the most tricky languages. You could say so many different things in the same way, or you could say one thing in so many different ways. So you got to pay close attention to the tricky English language. Thanks for your words of encouragement, your suggestions and criticisms. Continue to email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. I'm Edrenka reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.